the net, reeling in holistic health, where we care about your mental health and well-being. I'm your host, Coach Rice, and I want to make sure that you tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I have my special guest on to talk about real issues that matter most. I want you to check us out on YouTube, Facebook Live, on Business Facebook page, also on the Be Awesome Network. Stay tuned. I think you're going to really like this next guest.
Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice. It's a brand new week, the sun's shining bright, a chance to cast your net, step into the light. Life's full of challenges, it's a winding stream, but with Coach Rice, you'll find your dream.
Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, where we care about your mental health and well-being. I am your host, Coach Rice, and with me, I have a special guest. His name is Pastor Henry Nwaneri, and he is not only a pastor, but also an entrepreneur, a businessman. And so, Henry, tell us where you're from and how did you embark on the journey that you have in your life?
Well, first of all, let me say, Martha, it's an honor to be on your podcast. I am elated, looking forward to what the final product will be. And I'm also giddy with some beautiful information that I think your audience will be very impressed with, and I hope it helps them. I've been a pastor for almost 30 years now. I don't look that old, right? But I got called when I was very young into the ministry, and started with pastoring a small group of people. And then in 1998, I went semi-full-time. I pastored the first church, but I had pastored a ministry before that. Pastored the first church, and it was very successful. And then I left Nigeria, came to Canada, went to Bible school again, and started another ministry. So the churches now, we have about 7 branches around the world. Have 2 in Canada here. I just started one in Atlanta, US. Well, not a church per se, because God pulled me out of the whole church system, and that's a different long story. But I am very fascinated by a move of God now that births like fellowships or meeting grounds at home. So you can call it home churches or stuff like that. And it's a lot easier in South America and Asia, where I have traveled a lot to. And one of the things God has been using me to do has been to plant a lot of these. I just came back from Belize, which is in the northeastern tip of South America. And I think that was the largest home group meeting I've planted. This is about 1,000 people meeting in a house. And it was so, they had to put tents outside in the backyard and video, TV screens. And the fun thing about it is that it's the same atmosphere, same, very casual meeting. And one of the things God taught me from this last trip to Belize was, it is not that it's a rebellion against the church system. No, it is that it's like the vision God showed me of why he was doing it was he had 2 kids. He was a woman, and he had to feed 2 children. And one loved the food spicy, and the other one didn't like it spicy. So he made pasta, or she made pasta, and then strained it, put it in 2 separate plates, and then was making 1 pot of stew with tomatoes. And so made the first one without all the spices that would make it spicy and, and hot, and then put it in the plate for the first person, and then now added the spices in the second section, and then put it in the plate for the second person. So I was asking God, explain, how does that apply to what you're doing with the churches? He said, I need time to put spices in certain things for certain people to really enjoy the food, and the church is not giving it to them. So sometimes the home like people want to be able to talk and share, and you don't do that in church. People want to be able to, if it is prayers, to just wait. When you go to church, opening prayer is 5 minutes. But when you go to a home group meeting, opening prayer can be from the beginning to the end, and that's it. We just got carried away doing opening prayer, or at least it's so open that God can do what He wants to do, and that's an ingredient because most times we don't give the Holy Ghost the chance to finish what He's doing before we go into our next event in the church. So that was what God was showing me, and it's been amazing. When you take people who were hurt in the church and you take them to a home group meeting, give them 2 weeks, they break down and they confess, and get healed from the hurting that the church system hurt them. And so I've just been fascinated seeing that. And, one of my passion is revival. I love praying. I'm a man of prayer. And I've written about 12 books on prayer. If there's any title I want, it is the Apostle of Prayer. Don't give me another title. Just call me the Apostle of Prayer. And so that's been my journey. But I'll be frank with you. One of the things again that I've learned in this whole day is that God prepares you by putting certain things in your path, and He has put certain things in my path that I would say from the flesh were difficult moments. But I have this scripture, all things work together for good, and there's an explanation I want to give for it. So the doctor had been telling me, this is the way God explained it to me. The doctor had been telling me that he wanted me to lose about 5% more fat from my body. And so I was trying as a Christian the best way I could. I fast. I do fast as often as I can. It's not going to how many days and it wasn't working for 2-3 years. I wasn't losing. I was almost staying the same. So when I went to Belize, the second group of people that I had to talk to were up on a mountain. If you know how Belize is, there's a part of it that is very mountainous, and they were rural. And they were really hungry for the Lord. And then the pastor of the leader of the fellowship I went to begged me, said, Henry, I'd really love for you to talk to them about prayer and revival. They're really looking forward to you. But the funny thing about it is that you have to park your car somewhere and then walk for like 3 hours. So for 2 weeks,
wow.
For 2 weeks, we had to park our car and walk for 3 hours. And so I had to, and there's a favorite type of shoe to wear, otherwise you'll wreck your shoe, because it's stony mountainous areas and stuff like that. And then, so I did that, 3 hours going up, 3 hours coming down, 6 hours every day for 2 weeks. And so it never occurred to me, I'll be frank with you, while I was doing that, I was crying. I was like, Lord, I remember, and I sing, I'm a musician, I play a few instruments. I wrote a song.
Oh, okay.
I wrote a song while I was doing this, going up and down the mountain. And I said, Lord, you asked me to give you everything. And I said, I have. But I hope that you're seeing me now and you can see that I really have. Because for me to be doing what I'm doing, it's a sign that I have given you everything. And I wrote it because I thought I was suffering for the kingdom, for the gospel, And we left it. So we finished when I came back to Canada. I remembered I had an appointment with the doctor, so I went, and the doctor was like, okay, Henry, we really have to do something about this 5%. I'm not obese, but he just felt he wanted to help me get in shape, right? So he said, get in the system, let's check you again. So I got in the system and he checked me again. And the 5% fat was gone. So he's like, Henry, wait. He sent me to the other doctor to go and check it. I went, they checked it, the 5% fat was gone. And I was like, what is going on? Is your system wrong, or was I never that fat? He said, no, Henry, you've lost 5% fat. I mean, like the fat that is supposed to be excess in your body is gone, and it was gone in 2 weeks. The moment he said 2 weeks, a bell went off in my head. Bing, 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 bing. And I remembered that for 2 weeks, 6 hours a day, while I was crying and angry with God, I was walking up and down a mountain, not knowing that all things work together for good.
I know. He was doing the work in you.
And I was losing
for your health.
And I was losing the excess fat that made me into the realm of the obese. I felt I had an athletic body. If you look at me, I'm about 6 foot tall and I don't have any fat in my body. But there's a way they measured it and said, no, you are obese. You're supposed to have
Wow.
more muscles and this. So, and I'm not the type that those things stick to. But for some reason, everywhere I go and I'm preaching, I'll be feeling like, Henry, you need to be healthy. The doctor says you should. So it kept on troubling me. Then I traveled to Belize, and then this happened.
Right.
And that was one of the things that would help you overcome um, the things you go through is that you may not see how God is using it, but you'll be blessed when He finally shows you how He used it to get you.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, while you're going through it, you will be crying, you'll be complaining, you'll be praying
Yes.
all kinds of
Yes.
prayers, you know, not knowing that. And can I be frank with you?
Mm-hmm.
We see God with our very minute, finite eyes. You know,
Yes.
I have a feeling that there will be so much more benefits that God will show me and reveal to me from that 2 weeks of suffering for the gospel. I have a feeling. I have a feeling there's so much more. Already, I feel there are certain things. For instance, the energy I feel.
Yeah.
I've never registered to a gym. I've never gone more than one time to a gym in all my life. You know, so, so so doing that was his way of nudging me. And I cried
Yes.
and complained and prayed and wrote songs while that was going on, not knowing that all things, all things work together for good to them that believe, to them that are called
And
of
now you
God.
could say it was good that I was afflicted.
Yes, absolutely. First Peter, you can say
You
that.
couldn't say it while you was going up the mountain, but you could say it
I know
now.
I dare not say it while I was going up the mountain. I dare not say it.
So you mentioned, something about overcoming adverse, when you overcome things with adversity. When it comes to, adversity, a lot of us face it in our lives or in our lives. What would you say would be some key things that you have experienced in overcoming adversity?
So I could talk all day on this, but let me maybe give you two that I think I can
Okay.
talk on real fast. Um, the first mistake we made, and I learned this just a few months ago, the first mistake you will make in your adversity is to sit down on the couch. Wow, that's a big one.
Mm, that's a big one. Yeah, it is.
So I use that phrase to paint the picture of when you allow your adversity to dictate your
Right.
lifestyle.
Okay.
I use that phrase. Sitting on the couch is when you become a couch potato, is when you get stuck in a certain particular method of walking, living, eating. Some people eat on their couch, so this is how you know you're sitting on the couch. Your
Okay.
couch is where you eat. Your couch is where you sleep. Your couch is where you sit down and spend a lot of your life. You're either
Mm,
watching TV, you're watching games, or you're playing games on your couch. Your couch is where you sit down and try to study the Bible. Let me tell you something about the couch. Anybody listening and watching, hear me. Your couch might be partially comfortable for everything you do on it, but it was not originally made for you to do that on it. You can sleep on your couch, but it wasn't made to be your bed. Come on, somebody.
amen.
Come on, somebody. Get up from your couch. It's comfortable. You can turn one of those things to a pillows. Sometimes you have to put your leg over the other arm because you're longer than it. It might be slightly comfortable. And can I tell you something? It can take a while for you to really get comfortable on a couch. And because it has taken that long, you love your couch more than your bed. There are some men that love their couches more than their bed. I'll tell you why. You haven't found a bed that is more comfortable than a couch.
So true. So true.
Oh, come on, come on.
I
The
love my
day,
bed.
some of you, you only slept on a bed one day after you got married. After that, it went back to the couch. God
Oh my
needs to
God.
deliver you from that. I'm talking about so going passing that. People don't know they're going
Yes.
through stuff, but the couch is the place. The couch is the devil's attempt to make our crisis comfortable with our lives.
Mm.
Can I tell you something? You will never get up out of the couch as long as you find it as your comfort zone. It can
Amen.
help you with the situation, but it wasn't created to be the best in the scenario for you. It wasn't. Your couch is not your best bed. It's not the best place to sit down and eat. It's not the best place to sit down and think. It's not the best place to sit down and sleep or lie down and sleep. It's not the best place to do any of those things. But you can get good doing all of those things on the couch. So that's the first thing I would say I've learned. And so many times it's easy to get stuck on the couch. One of the things you know about a couch is this. Let me tell you something about a couch. A couch has very few doors opened in front of it. Very few doors. A couch doesn't like to open the window. Have you noticed there are people you go to their house, they are lying down on the couch, the window is across there. You're the one that goes and opens the window for them but while they're sitting on the couch. And you know the significance, the spiritual significance of opening the window? It is letting light in. It is overcoming that cage that is around the couch, not thinking beyond. Most people who commit suicide or react adversely to crisis in their life always do it right after they get up from a couch.
Mm.
The couch is where their crisis, their adversity transfers or transposes or metamorphoses or transmogrifies to a new level where they respond to it most times. So if you want to get people free, go find them at the couch. Let me give you one scriptural illustration of a couch. In the book of Genesis, Hagar was running from Abraham and Sarah. She got to a place, her water finished, and she sat down on a couch. And she grumbled on this couch. She finished the last bit of food, and then the child was still crying because food was finished. So she took the child, put the child somewhere, and said, "Let the child die." She came back and sat on the couch. I told you the couch is a place that is caged. It has very few doors open. It is so dark in the couch that if you just open the window, you will see that there is sunlight outside.
Yes.
Hagar did not, until an angel spoke to her and then pulled the windows apart and said, "Hey, there's sunlight outside. And by the way, just on the other corner there, there's a well, so much water. Go get water and drink. And hey, the child has a future. He's going to be a prince." That's something about a couch. It blinds you to your future. This is how you know you are already sitting on the couch in your adversity. You don't have a good eyesight, a good view into the future. You're thinking about just now. You can't think about 5 years from now. You can't think about 2 years. You can't even think about 6 months from now. That's the place of suicide. Most people who commit suicide don't see a future. So
That's
that's my
true.
first advice. Get up out of the couch. Stand up from the couch. If you're a man of prayer or a woman of prayer, hey, or if you're the one praying for somebody sitting on the couch, pray them up from the couch. Get them walking, get them open the windows, tell them to get up. And by couch, sometimes it's a bed, sometimes it's a floor,
Yes.
sometimes it's a chair, sometimes it's a wheelchair, sometimes it's a sick bed,
Yes.
but it has that atmosphere, attitude of a couch. Let me paint a picture of some of the things that are around it. You see empty boxes of food, pizza boxes, bags of McDonald's takeaway hang around, because when you sit on the couch, you don't have the strength or the time to organize your life. You don't have the strength of the time to throw the dirty things out of your life. They accumulate, and over time, you see cans of pop, cans of Coke, You try to be a basketballer, you throw it, but it falls back and rolls back close to the couch because the couch attracts all of that. That's the first thing I would say about anybody. If you just make sure you're not on a couch. If you want diversity, make sure you're not sitting on a couch. Make sure you're not sitting on a
very
couch.
stuck position. Yeah.
Make sure you're not sitting on a couch. The second thing I would say, maybe I'll say this very briefly, is I just wrote a book on procrastination, and one of the things I learned in adversity is this: adversity kills your I don't know, I called it something in that book, but there is this
creativity,
not just creativity. There's that initial energy that takes a step. In the Bible, when Peter saw Jesus walking on water, it shocks me to think that the first thing he said, Lord, if it is you, bid me come. Cause me to respond to this supernatural event by replicating it. See, when we go through adversity, it kills that initial energy that says, take a step. It kills it. And so
that's true.
One of the things you should start thinking of doing is, because I'll give you a scriptural backing that will just bless you, is find the one step you should take. Because I'll tell you, one of the things I learned during my adversity is that it prolonged because I didn't do anything. And the one thing about adversity is that it will make you feel there's nothing you can do. You're supposed to wait for a breakthrough. When I would take a walk during one of the very adversity time I went through, I'll be hoping that somebody got angry and threw a bag of dollars out of a plane and it landed on my head and I opened it and it was all $100 million inside the bag. And that's the only way you expect to get out of adversity. And what that does is that it shuts down the steps you can take, the steps that God created and put in your DNA that overcomes crisis. Even Adam and Eve, when they sinned against God, they took a step. They went and hid. So adversity kills that initial step that you can take, that initial step that says, if I do this, I might prosper. There were 4 beggars that lived in the city, in the Bible. And another nation had encamped around their nation and said, hey, you guys we're going to kill all of you. It got so bad that people were eating their children in the city. The king was walking around and people were crying, King, what are you going to do? King said, we can't do anything. They ate their donkeys, ate their pets, ate their cows, ate their children. There's a story about 2 families. They agreed, we'll eat my child today, tomorrow we'll eat your child. And then when they ate the first child, then the next day they said, no, you can't eat my children. And then they took it to the court.
Right.
Actually, that's how bad it was. And 4 lepers knocked on the gate, said, open the gate, we want to go out. They said, no, don't go out. The enemy is outside there. He said, yes, there's an enemy outside, there's an enemy inside. Oh, we just feel like taking this step. And the Bible says they opened the gate, let them out. And as they were walking away from their city gates, the enemy, the army camped outside, heard their footsteps as if it was a sound of a huge army. They left everything. They left their food, left their wares, left their tents, left their swords, left their shields, left their everything and ran away. 4 lepers who took a step. They went into the camp of the enemy. They started gathering booty, gathering everything, ate so much food. And then one of them tapped the other person and said, hey, this is too much. We can't eat it all alone. Let's go back and tell everybody what is going on here. And they went back and told everybody. Adversity will blind you to small steps you can take. I've learned this, that when I fall 5 steps, I plan to rise 6 steps. I can't rise back to the same old place. I'm getting back to a better place. Hey, if they fire you from work and you keep looking for a job, maybe God is saying, register your business. think beyond, think bigger. Bible says in Ephesians 3:20, he's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you can imagine or think. So don't sit on the couch, one, and then let the DNA that God put in you remain in you. Wake up one day and tell yourself, agree with God. I'm doing better than this. I don't care. I'm registering a business. I'm fighting. I don't care. You don't have a car to run around your business. That's okay. Buy roller skates. Just do something. Just take a step.
Take an initial step.
Just take a step. Just take a step. Your step is the seed of faith that God needs to not just turn your case around, but to set up your breakthrough.
Wow. That is powerful. So you set up churches all over, but in homes, out of the traditional church, right? Into more, it sounds like the book of Acts.
I
Going
am
back to the book of Acts.
fascinated by the book of Acts. That's the book of the Bible I've read most in my life. I think I've read it probably about 1,000 times now, and I'm fascinated by the lifestyle. I'm fascinated by the miracles. I'm fascinated by the level of unity. I'm fascinated by a lot of things in the book of Acts, and I'm still reading through it again now, but I'm hoping that we can experience what they experienced. It wasn't just a revival, but there was something else about what the Christians in the book of Acts experienced. I'm praying we experienced a little bit of that again. I've been part of a few revivals, and by revival, I don't mean like a 3-day prayer meeting. No, that's not what I define as revival. I define a revival by um, other means. There's no time to say all that I think a revival should be now, but I've been in situations where, for instance, 1,000 people just every day for 3 months, 6 months, every day. It's supposed to be a one day a week meeting. But for every day for 6 months, people just gathered, and there was nobody leading. It was just, and nobody came out in the flesh and said, God said, no. Everybody was just subdued to the move of the Holy Ghost for 6 months. And some of those meetings went from 6 p.m. to 12, 11. You see people who own buses decided to now drive people home. They were doing 10, 15 trips, just driving people home and coming back, driving people.
Oh, wow.
Home. And sometimes you literally have to carry people into the bus because they're still passed out from the presence of God. And
wow.
And we haven't seen
that's real revival, true
that's
revival.
That's the kind of things that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about where meetings where you would see the kids section, kids refuse to go to kids section. Kids section is empty. You just see mothers sitting down, sucking their baby. That's it. But all the kids prefer to stay in the adult section. You see kids like for 6, 7 hours lifting up their hands, praying in tongues. I mean, children as young as 3, 4, 5, 6, for 3 to 6 hours lifting up their hands, praying in tongues. Keeping, when they say silent everywhere, the Lord is moving, you see kids quietly. 3 years old, 4 years old. I can't do church the regular way. No, I can't. I've seen God in such ways that I can't do church the regular way.
So you guys let the Spirit just move by the Spirit and let him do his work.
Yeah.
Transformation. Okay. Well, what about tell us about your author. You are an author as well. And you mentioned that you wrote books. Tell us about the books you wrote. Like what are they?
So
the titles, brother.
I'll tell you a story. I started writing. The first book I wrote was in 1997, Overcoming the Spirit of Anger. But in 2021,
Okay.
Just during COVID, God started laying it on my heart. I want you to write books, Henry. I said, Lord, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. He said, Henry, I want you to write a book. I said, okay, what do I write about? He said, write about anything. I said, Lord, that's not how you speak to me before. You usually give me specificities. I work in the office of a prophet, so I like specificities from the Lord. I like to be very precise. But I wasn't getting anything precise about this book. So, and I kept on saying, God, are you sure this is you? Please give me a sign. And he gave me another sign. Well, at that time, I was researching the book of Song of Solomon. And anybody who knows me knows I hate, not that I hate, um, I find it very paradoxical that my passion, and this is you're going to laugh at this, my passion is prayer. But one of the areas of my life where people find me very, very intuitive and I've helped a lot of people is when it comes to relationships, you know. So, so, and
Well, I
you know,
find they correlate.
and
Find a
here's,
very deep correlation with relationship and prayer.
well, you know, in the flesh, it's difficult to see how that works, but I know exactly what you mean. But this is another point that will probably um, bless you, and this is a vulnerable point for me. I went through a divorce, and that taught me a lot in 2007. Taught me a lot, you know, broke me, shattered me, gave me it was another pivotal moment in my life. And so I kept on arguing with God. I said, Lord, I'm reading Songs of Solomon. I can't write a book on love. Never. I'm not writing a book on love. I argued and fought and battled him. No, this was for one whole year from 2021 almost to the end of 2021. I battled with God. I said, I'm not writing a book. And so God had to convince me that I wasn't just writing a book, but I was writing a book on relationships. And the way I study, I, I study expositionally. You know, I read verses of scriptures. I could spend 1 year reading one verse of scripture and God would just so I started writing a book, but God had to convince me, and He gave me three things that convinced me. So the first thing He said to me, He said, Henry, He said, who are the top three people in the Bible that you listen to, that spoke to you or speak about marriage and relationship? Who are the top three people in the Bible? I thought about it. Relationship. Solomon, yeah. Paul, yeah. Jesus, yeah. Those are my top three, you know. And He said to me, what's one thing common about all of them? They either were not married or they had very bad marriage testimonies, you know, all of them. He said, he said to me, Henry, you're in good company. I'm like, okay, God. It's working a little bit, you know, because I had to overcome my shame, my whatever you would call it. I had to overcome that just to even write a book on relationship, you know. So my first book came out on relationship, um, and the way it is it became one of seven books, you know. So Song of Solomon chapter 1 has 17, it has 8 chapters, and chapter 1 has 17 verses. So I pick one verse and it's one chapter of my book. So chapter 1, one book is on chapter 1, and it has 17 chapters, and each of those chapters are on each verse. So I just take one book and I write one whole chapter on it. So that's how deep I can go with some of these things on relationship.
Oh wow, you dig
We'll
deep.
we won't go there today, and then and then not just that, he taught me how to help people write books. So between 20, so I was going to tell you why he told me to write. So that was the first reason. He said, Henry, a time will come when the internet will shut down, and only your books will go beyond you. You know, people will control what they can hear. You know, there's going to be a key that can control access to internet. You know, and so books. If you've watched a lot of movies, sci-fi movies, you know that books are very, very precious in the days to come. Very precious. So I wanted to get a lot of books out there. But the second thing he told me was, I'm naturally the type of person that I believe that a prophet is not invited, a prophet is sent. You know, so you can invite a prophet to go anywhere, to do anything, but he has to wait on the Lord until God sends him there if he's a true prophet. Or you can go and just speak and get money, put it in your pocket and walk away. But if you want to operate in the office of a prophet, you're not invited, you're sent. And the one way I can be sent is if I send my books, if my books are out there, especially on the topics that I choose to write about. So that was the second thing God said that convinced me to write books. So between 2021 and 2025, I just decided to write as many books as I think. And right now, I think I just published 2 days ago. I just published my book on procrastination, and that's my book
Okay, that's gonna be a good one.
number 57. So, and I've started another one altogether. So, and not just that, I learned how to publish books very easily. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And I have personally published 57, and I've helped. So I'm helping 3 people this month. If I finish with the 3 of them that I'm just looking at my screen here, that will be number 39, 30, 39, 40, and 41 persons I've helped with their book. So,
Oh, wow.
yep.
Okay. Now, is that part of your business? Your
Well,
entrepreneurship
that's the
is
business. Yes, that's the part of the business. So I hate to call it a
okay.
business, but it's just a little income on the side, and if you go to my website, remagigs.com, we don't do it for the money. We do it because,
Okay.
um, you know, I don't know, we just make you, I don't know how to say it. I don't do it for the money. Let me put it that way. I don't do it for the money.
You just want to
For my
help people
first
get out.
for my first book, I paid $7,000 to have a publisher publish it for me, and that was the last time I gave anybody my book to publish. So I've published all my books on my own,
Okay.
and
And
when
you
I
just help
travel,
others do the same.
yep.
Wow. Well, that is amazing. So, to my audience, because you have given us so much to process on, especially on adversity. If you can give the audience one piece of advice, what would it be?
I have, because almost
I
every
know you have
podcast I
several.
go, there's always that question at the end. So I have about 3 or 4 ways to go about it. But I think for your audience, what God is asking me to tell your audience is, go deeper. If you're serving God, if you're a Christian, if you're a child of God, go deeper. Life in the deep end is way, way different from life in the shallow end. Um, Even in your adversity, even in the crisis, you know, what saved me after my divorce was that I went deep. That's what saved me after my divorce. It wasn't, I come from Africa, I'm Nigerian, and it used to be a cultural stigma to be divorced. I didn't want to be divorced.
Mm,
I hated the idea. I came to Canada and I told God, I said, God, I'll come to Canada if you promise me I won't be divorced. And I thought God promised me I won't be divorced, but so that broke me. But I think he seized the opportunity and just drove me deep. So that would be my advice to you. Just no matter what you go through in life, go deeper. I'll give you one scripture that will help you. That's what happened to Solomon. Uh, 1,000 women, and then he wrote Song of Solomon, Ecclesiastes. Wow, that's the only thing that will save you. That's what will make all of it worthwhile. I'll give anything. I'll go back and endure anything I've gone through in the past if it is the only way I'll get to being this deep with God. And I'm not boasting about how deep I am. No, I'm just saying it's the only thing worth it. It's not the
the
money.
experience
It's not
and
the money. It's not the travel. It's not the accolades. All of those will fade and fail.
yes.
Depth, and when you're deep, you know it. There is no boasting, but when you're deep, you know it. The sweet thing about intimacy is that it is private. It doesn't do self.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. It's definitely private. I love it. And so I would definitely put your links in the video. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. I wish I definitely would love to have you on again to talk about another topic. I think it's awesome what you're doing. And I love to see when God is moving and the work that the way he uses us to work in what we're doing. And it's so interesting because our life, like you said, all things work together for the good. Sometimes we go through things and we don't understand it, but he
Yep.
knows
Yep.
exactly what we need, how we need it, and that's
Yep.
what he does. So
Yep.
thank you for sharing your story, and and I know this will touch many hearts. So just to the audience, thank you so much for listening. And if you feel like someone who is going through adversity needs to hear this, please do share. I promise you would not regret it. And if you want to reach out to Henry, I will have his links in the video as well. And I also want to say, don't forget to subscribe and share, because I have amazing people on my podcast all the time, and it's all for you. So I just want to say thank you for listening, and we are signing off.
It's your time to shine. Your journey to chart. Coach Rice wisdom will heal every heart. So join us now. Let's make life survive. Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice.